Hello guys and gals, welcome to a new tutorial. This is just a follow-up for the Paragon asset pack tutorial I did yesterday, I think. Some people wanted to know how you could get the characters in there and how you can use the characters as well. Some of you asked in not quite so nice terms, don't appreciate it. Those people have just been blocked and the message is deleted. You know, this channel's for people of all skill levels, so don't just assume that, I'm gonna do straight away the more complicated stuff, because I'm not, and trying to use that kind of language to get my attention isn't gonna work, because I was planning on doing this anyway. Duh. Alright, so here I've downloaded, I believe, Murdoch. Thought he was quite a cool character. I thought I'd give this one a try. If we were to press play here, you can see I've got him in the game and running around via keyboard control. Yay! So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to quickly set this up, and then you'll be able to expand on it from there and use different characters. I suggest that you use my other tutorials for things like switching his materials and his skins, as they are just different static meshes, so you can just change them in runtime with a blueprint. It's not a problem. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to send this guy back to what he belongs as. So, there we are, and where is it? There it is. So now this should just be our default guy. Yep, cool. And then I'm going to get rid of these little things I've created here. Bye. And there they go. So, the first thing that we need to do is, well, you need a project with a character in it. The third person character is the best one to use for this because it's going to be able to let you prototype really quick, and then if you want to change controls and things, you'll be able to do that straight away. This just gives us the movement inputs that we're going to require immediately. So I'm going to select the third person blueprint under mesh. I'm going to click the little drop down, and then I'm going to choose one of my Murdochs. Now if you need to obtain these models, then go ahead and follow the other Paragon tutorial to show you how to get these into your projects. I'm going to go with the default Murdoch. Wink, there he is. You can see he's in his nice little default almost T-pose. And for now he's not going to do anything. If we assign him an animation class, he's not really going to be able to use it at all. So if we were to give him the third person default, he's just going to slide around, which is really creepy. So what we need to do is we need to create a couple of things for this to work. The first thing we're going to do is right click, head to animation, and then we're going to go to blend space 1D. Now the reason I'm using one dimension is just because I only want to be able to affect his animation via speed at the moment. If you were going to control him in a different way than WASD on the third person, you might want to consider using a 2D because you'll be using more than one axis. For this we're just going to be using the horizontal axis to determine speed of movement. So I'm going to call this Murdoch underscore blend space. I'll open this up, and by default we've got what we want because we've selected the skeleton. I don't know if you saw it when we go to animation, when we go to blend space 1D, you select the skeleton you want to use, so I'm selecting the Murdoch skeleton. What that will do is it will find the skeleton, find the mesh that that's assigned to, and pull all the different animations that have been brought in. Now this is a lot of animations. I am not going through all of these. Some of them are quite cool, some of them are kind of boring. I suggest that you go through these in your own time and find a blend that's going to be nice for you. I'm just going to show you guys how to quickly set this up so you can get him running around. So what we're going to do, over in the left we've got horizontal axis. First thing we'll do is name this speed. And we want the minimum to remain at 0 and the top to be 375 because that's going to be the default for our third person character's movement. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to leave that as it is. Haha! Right, over in the asset browser here we've got filters. What we want to do is we want to search for idle. The reason we want to search for idle is because if he's not moving, we don't want him to do anything. So we've got a couple that we can choose from. If you double click these, you can check them out. Idle loop A, idle A loop rather, seems to be quite a fun one. So we'll head back to our little blend space. Where's our blend space? You cheeky devil. Reopen the blend space. Excuse me. We'll search for our idle. And we'll grab idle a loop. And we're going to drag this into this little area here. This is where we're actually going to be doing the blending. So we've got this little grey diamond. Now this is where we're going to place this down. We want to place this at 0. And you saw there it said speed 0. That's because if he's not moving, we want him to play idle. Next thing that we're realistically going to want is a walk. And we're going to want walk forward. We don't want to walk backwards because with this third person character, he's going to rotate depending on which way you press. Obviously, if you're going to set up a different movement method, then you'll be able to blend with the 2 different axes, and then you'll get direction as well as speed. So we want walk forward, and we're just going to place this probably halfway. Now, if we were to hold shift and move around, you can see we can move this little green dot, and we can check this different. We can check out the blend. So the quicker you move, the quicker he walks, and the smoother the animation becomes. Now we're going to want to run, and we want him to run when he's at max speed. There we go. You can see that blending really nicely. Now we'll save that. We're happy with that. We'll right click, animation, animation blueprint. We're going to choose the Murdoch skeleton, press OK. We're going to call this Murdoch Anim BP. We'll open this guy up, and what we're first going to have is our anim graph. We don't want the animation graph, we're going to go to the event graph first. You can see here we've got the update animation, and we say we've got a try get pawn owner. What we want to do first is drag off from the event blueprint, and we'll say is valid. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that the model is actually owned by a player before it does anything. Now what we need are 2 variables, a boolean, we're going to call it init, which we'll use to check whether or not he's on the ground, and the second is going to be a float, and this is going to be speed. And this is going to be used to check how quick he's going. So the first thing we'll do is we will set is in air because we need to know whether or not he's on the ground before we need to know his speed. To do this, we will get the movement component from the pawn, and from here we'll ask is falling. And we will set in air to whatever is falling is currently set to. The next thing we will do is we will set the speed, and speed is going to be determined by getting the velocity of our pawn and then getting the vector length, and this will give us our approximate speed. Plug that in, we'll press compile, and now that's going to do some stuff. Right now it's not going to do anything. You can see here if we go into the anim graph, we have the final animation pose. Nothing's in here. So what we need to do, we need to right click, and we need to give this a state machine. Oops, state machine. We'll add a new state machine, and from this little guy, plug that into the result guy, and now we can do some things. Double click on the new state machine, and this is where things start to get a little bit iffy if you don't know how to do the animation parts. From entry, drag out a pin. We're going to add a state. We're going to call this idle/run. And what we'll do is we'll open this guy up. We're going to get our speed, and then we want our blend space. So click down on blend space, and you can see we've got our Murdoch blend space here, and then we'll update speed to speed and plug this into the result. Compile this, and you can see our little preview has got our Murdoch standing nice and tall. And if we were to go into our third person character here, which is our Murdoch, click the anim class, go to our Murdoch anim BP, you can see now he has his idle. If we press play, now got his idle animation. If we move around, he's running. Yay! Now one thing that we do want to do is we're going to go back to our state machine, and we can start to think about other things. Now I'm not going to go through this, but if we were to add a state, we can call this jump. And what you've got here is a little condition. So if we open this up, You can only enter the transition if you turn this condition on. And one of the things you can do to quickly see is get in air and plug that in. So if it's in the air, then you'll play your jump animation. Obviously, we can go into this jump animation real quick. Oops, state machine. We can open this up, right click, and we can press animation. You can see all the animations that are assigned to this skeleton. I'm not gonna choose one for this, but go ahead, find yourself a nice jump animation. Then you can find a nice land animation once he's no longer in the air, and once the animation has ended, go back to running or being idle. Just clear that out real quick. Compile this. One thing that we do want to quickly clean up, just because you can see here when he runs and stops, it's quite a quick snap. Not very nice at all. So what we can do is we can open up our blend space, and in our interpolation time, we're just going to ramp that up to about 0.4. I'll press save. Now when we play, when he starts moving, we have a little bit of a delay, and he's going to come to a slower halt. Like so. And there you have it. That's how you can bring in the Paragon character assets and then slowly start to put these things together. That's how you can quickly create a blend space and the animation blueprint that you're going to need. All of the assets already come in all the folders with the characters. It's really just a case of knowing how to set up the animation blueprints and blend spaces. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.